Hi, my name is Mary and I go by the Healing Cave Lady if you're new to my channel. And I just wanted to have a little sit down with you all about really how this way of life has changed my life and really kind of saved me. I want to talk a little bit about my history nutritionally and mentally and all of that, so you can kind of see where I came from and why I'm so super passionate about this lifestyle. Many of you know, if you've watched my videos about, how we found out about all of this way of eating and GAPS diet and paleo and all of that because my son was really sick and it healed him. And then we kind of used the same protocol to help out some people that had cancer, eczema, Hashimoto's, low testosterone. I mean, all kinds of issues. This way of life has helped. But personally with me, I know that it really saved my life because from a very super young age, I always was called me ADHD. I was super high strung. I always had diarrhea. They told me that I had IBS at a very young age. I remember when I was like 6 years old and we were at a big hotel party and I pooped myself. And it was like the most embarrassing thing ever. I think I remember for the rest of my life. Everybody's like, oh, farted, someone stinks. And like I had to hide it the whole night because I didn't have a change of clothes and we couldn't go home. And I just remember how embarrassing it was and how embarrassing it was getting diarrhea all the time after I ate anywhere. And people just telling me, you have IBS and there's really not much you can do for it. And I remember when I was, I'm going to guess that my candida was out of control by the time I was like 15. All kinds of leaky gut problems, all kinds of anxiety problems, depression at a young age. Never medicated, thank goodness. I had so many issues from a very young age that, I just always pinned on, being sad and sick, and my stomach always hurt. I always had stomach issues. So I remember like when I was about 15 and I got into modeling when I was 14. So I was really super conscious of my diet and I really started cutting out sugar. And I think that's when my body started freaking out. The candida's like, I don't have anything to feed on anymore. And I think I started drinking alcohol around 15. Started, doing the partying thing. And I remember making it how it made me feel really normal, like kind of like leveled out. And probably a combination of kind of like that ADHD, calming me down. But then the alcohol that was in the alcohol was kind of taking over for the sugar that I was no longer eating because I was trying to, stay slim to model. And that kind of took over for the alcohol that my brain was used to getting from the candida. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like alcohol. They're different types of alcohol, but they're serving the same purpose. So it all, now that I get it now, makes sense to me. But, of course, back then you would assume, oh, that's just a bad kid drinking at 15, but you really don't understand the dependence that you create on alcohol from yeast overgrowth in your body unless you've experienced it, because you hit some highs and lows. And maybe that was the problem with my, depression and anxiety at a young age too. I just had an unbalanced gut. So the sugars were the highs and the lows and the highs and the lows. So, and I was raised with a very horrible diet. I mean, it's like the hamburger helper or anything that you could use a coupon on. So I was raised with a really unhealthy diet. By the time I was 17, when I was a senior in high school, I was a full-blown alcoholic. I had a cocktail every morning that I brought to school, and all the teachers would laugh because they're like, Mary always has these great-looking smoothies every day. And all my friends would laugh because they knew, because if you even came near it, you knew that there was like ounces of vodka in there. Drinking was just kind of like a really normal thing for me from a very young age. And by the time I was in my 20s, I remember who my now husband, who was my boyfriend then, I was like, oh, we're going to watch a movie. I'm like, oh, I got to go get some alcohol. And he's just like, do you have to? We really don't have to drink. And I'm like, oh, no. And then like 20 minutes later, I was like, yeah, I really do. I was like, I needed it to function, really. And it was kind of a real kind of self-aware thing then, because I was like, wow, I didn't feel like I really needed it, but I really, really wanted it. And of course, it led to a lot of binge drinking because it just, I feel like my tolerance just grew and grew and grew, and I needed more and more and more to just kind of feel normal. And it's like, it wasn't always about getting wasted for me. I did do that a lot. I got alcohol poisoning a few times. I had some craziness, and I had an angel watching over me because, man, I never got in trouble. I never died. I never killed anybody else. I mean, I just remember just waking up one time, like 2 days after, I think I drank half a bottle of Bombay Sapphire and a Mad Dog 2020. And I don't even know what else after that because I blacked out. But I woke up 2 days later and I was wearing, a puke covered dress, and I was in my house, and I had like men's penny loafers and like this big coat that wasn't mine, some men's coat. And I kind of like woke up and I asked my mom, I was like, what's going on? Because I was thinking it's the next day, and it was really 2 days later. And she's like, I don't know, your friend's parents brought you home, and I basically had alcohol poisoning. I had to like sleep for a day to sleep it off. And my car was, stalled in front of somebody's house. And I'm sorry, I drank and drove. Obviously it's horrible. My car was stalled in front of somebody's house with the clutch burnout, because I must have had my foot on the clutch all night. I don't know that I drove very far. I ended up in the neighborhood that I started in, so I don't know what I did. But, thank God nobody got hurt, and I didn't hurt myself or anybody else. But alcohol was just a real big fat mess in my life. I was anxiety stricken. I was deeply dependent on alcohol. I ended up started taking, diet pills for like the buzz, for the high, because, the alcohol made me so sleepy, and I was drinking all the time. And it was just a really big fat mess. And I feel like I got to a point when I was in my 20s where I was just like, I don't want to drink anymore. I really don't want to. And I stopped. And then I felt like I had my anxiety and my other kind of depression kind of got out of control. I remember shopping at it used to be called Linens and Things. And I remember driving around, and then I was like, oh, I just need to go shop or something. So I went there and I'm looking, and I don't even know what I'm shopping for. And I had a panic attack. And I literally, I felt like the air go out of me. And I was just like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what's going on. My brain was freaking out. And I just was so desperate. I just didn't know what for. I didn't even know I didn't know what could help me. So that was kind of like a big turning point. And I was like, I need help. I don't know what. I don't know where to go for it. I'm not really sure what to do. So my son got sick, all of those things happened. I realized I started connecting the dots from the young age of, the IBS and all of the depression and the anxiety. And I remember reading the cover of the GAPS book, and it's like depression, anxiety, all these things. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is all gut related. This isn't my fault, And once I started healing my gut, everything started to fall into place. My anxiety totally, I would get so anxious just about forming a list or thinking about what I had to do for the day. Driving anywhere, it had to be like a race. And everything was so overwhelming. And I remember my husband asking me, he's like, can you just plan out the next 3 meals so you don't have to keep going to the grocery store? And I'm like, I can't. Because it gets too much for me to think that far ahead and think things through and plan it. Even thinking about it made me oh gosh, I have to figure out everything. It was just too much. And I was just like, geez, why is it so hard for my brain to calm down and function as it should normally? So I'm probably getting all over the place. Okay, so the gut, started healing the gut. Of course, it's a process. It's a total process. So I started healing the gut, and I really felt like something was missing. I still had, remnants of the depression and the anxiety and, kind of other issues. And I feel like, I was calling myself an alcoholic. I was an alcoholic. I was an alcoholic. I was an alcoholic. All these things. And I kind of realized that there's something wrong. I kind of kept going down a dark spiral path, of depression. And then finally, someone told me about this brain book, and it was called Who Switched Off Your Brain? Caroline Leaf. And I read that book, and it was all about the brain and neuroplastics and how you have to retrain your brain, because every thought that you think takes up physical space. It creates something in your brain. It's actually a physical thing. So all of the negative thoughts and all of the negative things that you think actually become real. And your brain does whatever it can to seek out accomplishing whatever that thing is. So if I say, I am an alcoholic, your brain is going to be like, okay, we're going to do whatever we can to make that a reality, So I was just like, whoa. And it talked about, ways of, journaling and concentrating on those good things and really kind of speaking out those good things. And that's why people are so into those affirmations. I always used to think, oh, those are so stupid. I'm going to sit and say, oh, I'm going to be this and I'm going to be that. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh, those are real things, because your brain is going to do whatever it can to seek out whatever those things are without you even thinking about it. Your brain is an amazing, amazing thing that heals itself. I mean, Caroline Leaf, she suck out to heal people that were left for brain dead. And, the brain regenerates itself. And, our God has created something so amazing that can heal itself. And that whole journey for me, the diet, my faith in God, and Caroline Leaf's book really was like a huge turning point for me, because I'm like, okay, I don't have to own any of those things anymore. What I'm going to own is the fact that my brain can change, and it can be happy, and it can process, and it can think clearly. And as long as I say those things, they'll happen. And the other cool thing is, they said the other brain is actually located in your gut. And, I'm always talking about the gut, but the other brain is located in the gut, because it is the producer of all of your neurotransmitters. It recycles them, it creates them, it sends all the signals, the hormones. I mean, like everything that your brain needs to talk to your body is created in the gut. So it's really fascinating how you really need both components. I feel you have to have that attitude of, okay, this is what I'm going to be, and this is how I'm going to be. And then you have to back it up with your nutrition to keep your gut healthy, so that things can kind of do what they need to do. But I really feel like I wanted to talk about that, because a lot of people who have like the sick children they're trying to heal, or they're trying to heal themselves, they start from a place of, I can't do this, and this is too hard. And you have been so depressed and had so much anxiety that you've had to go on a prescription, and that prescription does so much damage to your gut, it's like spirals out of control, and then you have to go on another prescription, and then all of a sudden you have eczema really horribly, or psoriasis, because it's another inflammation of the combination of all these drugs you're taking, and the combination of that your gut was in a bad place to begin with. And I just watch it spiral out of control, and how other people have to do those things, and it spirals out of control, and they're like, how do I get out of this? And it's hard. It's really hard, but you can do it. And all you have to say is, I can do it every day. I can eat a healthy lifestyle. I can tell myself that I can. Nothing is too hard for me. Nothing. All things are possible with God. Nothing is going to be impossible for you. And I feel like if I could get through what I got through, anybody could, because I feel like in my life I've been in the pits and I've been at the heights of the high. And I'd rather just stay on the mountaintops and be like, okay, like I can do anything, and know that you can. And I feel like it's a good idea to know that you have a community of people that are going through it, because really, I tell people this all the time. People think that the Paleo diet and Whole30 and all things are a fad, but they're absolutely not a fad. And you know why? Because this generation right now of people are sick, and they're realizing they're sick. And when they go to the doctor and they put them on another med and another med and another med, and they're having all these side effects, and they get to the point where like, I don't know what to do. I go to the doctor and they can't fix me. They just make me worse. You know, it's like you're exasperated. You need help and nobody can help you anymore. And you're like, I don't know where to turn. The only thing, you know, someone told me that if I do this one diet, it'll help me. Let me try it. Maybe I'll go paleo, or maybe I'll do the Whole30, or maybe I'll take dairy and gluten out of my diet, or maybe I'll do this or that. Like, people are so desperate that they have to go back to the basics. And that's why these diets aren't going away and they're not fads, because they have these ways of getting nutrition into your body that's healing, and eating healthy proteins and fats, and going back to pastured grass-fed animals, and animals eating and being treated the way they're supposed to be treated, and not processed in these horrible, I don't even want to talk about it, but, you know, going back to the way things were. And I always talk about like how back in the day, the hunter and gatherers, they would, you know, once in a while they came upon an animal and they would kill it. They would use everything, every part. I mean, people look at me crazy when I talk about how I use chicken feet in stock, because it's so highly gelatinous. It makes your stock so healing. It's like power. It's full of so much collagen and elastin and all the things that make your skin healthy and get rid of all my wrinkles. And you know, those people back in the day, they used everything. And what they do is, after they ate the meat, they knew they weren't going to get meat for a while. They throw all the bones in this huge cauldron, and they would just stir it and sit, and would sit under the fire every day. And they'd just keep adding water. They'd strain out their broth, because their broth was full of every basic amino that their body needed. Like, almost like they were eating the protein. I mean, it was full of rich protein and amazing healing factors that would just that would keep them healthy. And then they would have their, you know, sauerkraut, their fermented foods that are full of probiotics. So you have nourishing, and you have, you know, your probiotics. Even if they weren't able to eat any green vegetables or fresh fruits or everything, probiotics actually create vitamins in your gut. They like make them on their own. So a lot of times your B12 will come from bacteria, because bacteria can create B12. You know, the other source of B12 is bones, you know, beef bones. So the things that are so hard to get, you know, it's like you got your broth here and you've got your fermented food here, and it's like everything your body needs. So it's really amazing that to watch everything go backwards, and how that's the way society is going to have to go. And people are starting to realize, like, ooh, this whole GMO thing is really bad, and all this processed food is really bad. And I'm sick all the time, and my kids are sick all the time, and they're sick of it, because you can't go to the doctor anymore and get a prescription for antibiotics to kill whatever bug you have, because it's not just the bug. It's, you've got this, and you've got that, and you've got the combination of, you know, this, and this, and it's all because your gut is so unhealthy that you have all these symptoms, and they're not equating to like one answer. You know, you've got like hormone issues, and you're not sleeping, you know, that's a red flag. You know, when you've got rashes and skin problems, you're not sleeping, and you have no energy, and all you do is crave sugar. I mean, it's all red flags, red flags, red flags. And once you kind of start going backwards and you become a planner, it's another thing that's really good for your brain, because it's like, okay, I'm almost out of this and this and this, and because I have to soak the nuts overnight, it really trains your brain to stop and think. And so, like I said, things are going back, you know, to the ways that they were. And I think the best thing that you could do is to take baby steps and see what you can do in your life. At home, I always say the first thing you can start by doing is bone broth. And there's so many, like, I live in Oregon, I live in Portland, and there's so many amazing farms here that, you know, truly grass feed their animals, where they're out on pastures, they're not in feedlots, they're slaughtered humanely and gently, and they're not put on a truck and stressed out, and everything's done the way that it's supposed to be done. And you can buy your, you know, your meat and your bones from these places. I don't ever, you know, go to the grocery store and purchase my bones. I buy my bones directly from the farms that I buy my animals, so that I know that bone broth is going to be the most amazing bone broth you've ever had. It's going to be so full of nutrients, because the animal hasn't been under stress or duress, and it's been in the sun, and it's been eating what it's supposed to be eating, and that broth is going to be super nourishing and healing. And I have 2 freezers in my garage dedicated just to that. That's how serious I am about it. So the other thing that's amazing is that this diet is so great for your skin. I've told my friends, all my eye wrinkles have gone away since I started eating this way. I use super basic skincare, nothing expensive. And I used to be one of those people who I can't even go to sleep without putting eye cream on. I'm so afraid of wrinkles. But the collagen, elastin, all those things that your body stops making as much of, if you're consuming it, it's actually the best way to get it directly to your skin. So that's another bonus for those of you thinking you want to do something first. Bone broth, so heal that gut lining. Drink from the fountain of youth, and it's always a first step. So baby steps. If you're just new to my channel, I'm always talking about things that are good for your health and your body. So you just keep watch my other videos, and you can look for ways to kind of help with the whole lifestyle switch over. But we're going back to the old days. We're going to be doing things the way they're done. And the things that are made the fastest and they're the easiest are really going to be the things that are most detrimental to your health. So live well, eat healthy, think great thoughts, positivity, and you can do whatever you want to do. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.